Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Julie here from StoryADay with your podcast episode for this week. I am sitting here in a hotel room on my way home from a conference, and I want to talk to you this week about, a bunch of stuff. I guess the value of community, maybe, but certainly the value of not giving up. So when I went to this meeting that I was just going to, I was feeling a little meh, little stale on a bunch of projects. And talking them through with people was a really, really interesting way to figure out whether or not I really wanted to do them. And I was talking with very bright people because, that's who we get to talk to if we hang around with other creatives. So I was talking about these projects that I was working on that I didn't seem to be making any progress on. And I firmly believe that if you're not making progress on a thing, one of the options available to you should always be to walk away from it. And so I was talking about this and I'm like, maybe I do want to walk away from this. And as I talked to one person in this room, I was talking about the fresh new idea, which of course, as writers, we know, the existing project, which is hard and kind of in the middle, is always much less attractive than the shiny new idea that's out there that we haven't quite done yet, that we haven't had to put all the work into yet. And this person saw my enthusiasm for the next project and was like, she reflected that back to me. She said, I could see in your body language just how excited you are about that next thing. But I know myself well enough and I know the creative process well enough to be wary of that. And so as she was telling me how excited I looked about the new project, and I was thinking, that this has happened before, but I'm also wary of quitting the existing project too soon. But then she said something that was really helpful. She said, not that you have to stop that other thing immediately, but if you can think about it as that's where you're going next. And, this one is helping you learn what you need to know right now in order to get over there. So even if this one doesn't become your smash hit bestseller, it's teaching you things you need to know. And you're working towards that new shiny project. So just putting it in that context of, I don't have to do everything today, super helpful. These are things that we know intellectually, but sometimes when you have to explain where you are to someone and exactly how far you've got with this project, it can be really helpful to have somebody listen and watch you, observe how you are when you talk about a thing. So that was exciting, to think, okay, so both of these projects exist on a continuum that is my life. And the same will be true for you. So there'll be some stories that you are sitting there and you don't want to work on them. And if you've done your Writer's Manifesto work that I've talked about on this podcast and over at Writer Unboxed, and I've done a workshop on it that I've mentioned to you guys. So if you've done that work where you know that what you're writing is on target for you and in alignment with your values and part of the kind of work you want to be doing as a writer, and you still can't finish it, it might be worth talking about it with someone and then asking them to let you know what they saw while you were talking. Did you get excited? Were you pulling back? And maybe this isn't the right time for you to continue this project. Maybe there is something that's pulling you. But I do think, I'm always cautioning people to be wary of moving on to the next thing before you finish the first thing. Because at some point, every project has that bit where it's just a grind. You just have to get through the difficult bit. So that's part of every project. And it's good to remember that the new one is going to have some of that in it as well. And sometimes you need to finish the old one to prove to yourself that you're not flighty, that you're not always just quitting and going to the next thing. So then as we continued talking over this conference, I was talking about the two projects that I want to work on. And somebody else who knows me and works like me and understands more about my process helped me to just rejig the way that I was thinking about the existing project. I was thinking it had to be done this way. So, for example, a lot of people think that you have to write a story chronologically. You start with the first paragraph and you write and you write and you write, and everything has to be in place before you get to write the end. Or you have to have the opening before you get to write the middle. And sometimes we can get bogged down in that pattern of thinking. Or maybe you think that, your way of working has been to write bits of dialogue and then put them together as a story. And that's always worked for you in the past, but it's sort of stopped working right now. And it can be useful to talk through that process with somebody as well. Because when I was talking to my friend, something just became clear that I don't have to do a particular job on this project the way that I've always done it. And now that I'm thinking about coming at it from another angle, suddenly it has reignited my excitement for it. So it's not just that I want to slog through the existing project to get to the next one. I actually now also have a new way to think about working on the existing project. And that novelty is enough to get the creative sparks going in my brain again. So if you know that you're in the middle of a big project, or you've got a story you want to finish, or a novel you want to finish, as a creative person, we kind of thrive on novelty. We thrive on routine as well, but there's always a balance between keeping ourselves stimulated, interested enough to do the hard parts of the existing project and reinventing the wheel completely every time. And that's another great reason to keep working on projects until they are, in some sense, done. Because you get to do that. You get to discover that you can keep working on a project and complete it without it being a grind if you can find ways to mix it up. I know people in my Superstars group, which is sort of the inner circle here at StoryADay, where we write together and we do critique weeks together and things. And I know somebody in there who is constantly changing up how they work, but they're not really constantly changing up how they work because they're writing novels and they're writing in these two genres and they are tracking their words. But they might change how they track their words. Some weeks they'll draw them. Some weeks it'll be a spreadsheet. And that's okay for them. That little spark of novelty is enough to actually get a lot of words added to these projects. And our ambition always exceeds our ability to do stuff. And that's fine. Don't worry about that. Progress is the thing that we're looking for. I think I talked about that last week. It's not about where you are relative to other people as much as where you are relative to where you were this time last year, or this time last week, or this time yesterday. So don't be afraid to mix things up a little bit. Don't be afraid to talk about stuff with people and ask them for their feedback on how it appears to them that you're working, because they may have insights for you based on body language and how your eyes light up, or a project that they're working on that can just tweak something for you and give you a new angle on your own project. So if you've been working chronologically through a story and you got stuck in the middle, maybe you need to draw a map for yourself of where you're going. Even if you say, no, Julie, I'm not a plotter. But maybe try it just for this next segment of your story. I'm not saying you have to become a plotter, but could you try it out? Draw out, a scene map for the next scene of your story? Could you draw... I drew a mind map once of, with one of those things with a central point and all the spokes going out from it. I drew that for a big ensemble scene in a novel and just asked myself, who's there? Who are they sitting next to? What do they want? And the mind map structure of it allowed me to capture all the ideas so that when I finally sat down to write the scene, I knew where everyone was, and I didn't forget that she was trying to achieve this end, and that person over there had a conflicting urge and aim for this evening. And if I ever kind of got stuck, I just looked back at my mind map to see what I had brainstormed for all of my characters before I sat down to actually wordsmith the piece. And I've never written another scene like that so far, but I feel like because I allowed myself to write that scene differently, that's another tool that I have next time I get stuck, or next time I'm trying to write a scene with 15 people in it, which, by the way, I don't recommend doing too often. I don't know if it was 15, I'm kind of making that up, but it was a lot of characters. It was more than usual. So my point is, I think I have a few points here. My points are, let people into your writing life. Don't be afraid to mix things up. Don't think that because you are feeling discouraged about a project that it's all over. Because someone can make one comment to you, or show you the way that they've done something, or tell you what they saw in your eyes as you talked about it, and that can flip everything around for you. So let's get together. Let's get together with other writers. Let's talk. Let's share. Never think that you don't have anything to contribute, because some of those people that I was talking to who gave me ideas, we weren't even talking about writing. We were talking about other areas of their lives which fed into my writing. So let's get over whatever insecurities we have about being with other people, and just let's be together a little bit. If you would like some feedback on your actual writing, I will be opening up the StoryADay Critique Week, which happens 3 times a year. I'll be opening that up in this coming week, so watch your inbox for that. There is a charge to be part of that, but it is an immensely useful exercise. You get to read and be read, comment, and I always learn a ton from reading and marshalling my thoughts about all of the pieces. And then we get together for a discussion and we go deeper than the written comments. So if you would like to be part of the Critique Week, watch your inbox. There's stuff coming out about that soon. And I'm going to wrap up this podcast now because I'm sitting cross-legged on my hotel room and my feet are going numb, and that can't be good. So hope you have a great writing week. Watch your inbox for information about Critique Week. And let's find some ways to get excited about your writing, get some novelty into your writing life, get some feedback on your writing practice from someone. And I hope this has been helpful. I look forward to being with you more as I ramp up the celebrations for this upcoming 15th StoryADay May this year. Tell all your friends. Have a great writing week, and I will speak to you soon. Thanks for listening. Why not come over to the blog at storyaday.org and check out this week's writing prompts and articles. And in the meantime, have a great creative week, and of course, keep writing.